Hi, welcome. This is our second week on the topic of forgiveness. This is forgiveness minus 1.0. The idea of removing the other and focusing on ourselves first. This is our guided meditation. So go ahead and begin by bringing yourself to a comfortable seated position. Use props as you need to so that you actually can feel relaxed. You're not holding anywhere. You're supporting the body. Often having the hips higher than the knees can be helpful, so if you're sitting on a cushion or a support. Allow the eyes to close, have your spine lengthened. Feeling this upward energy of the body while also feeling the body being supported by the earth. Now connect with your breathing. Just feel the natural flow of the breath. You don't need to change anything. Just feel the breath moving in and out through the nose. It's conscious awareness of breath. And now begin to observe your own thoughts. So just have awareness that there are thoughts that are present in this moment. And they occupy a certain amount of your mind space for a certain amount of time until a new thought replaces it. And then another thought replaces it. So do your best just to be the witness of your own thoughts, to observe these thoughts as though they were someone else's thoughts. There is a tendency to want to get pulled into the thought, to ride that roller coaster of where it may take you with the thought. But this is a practice of simply observing. As the observer, come back to the body, notice this stillness, this quietness in the body, this feeling of calm. And now, with this eye of a witness, being the observer, I want you to picture a ball of yarn in front of you. You're imagining one long continuous strand that has been compressed into a taut fiber that tightly wraps up, going in all directions, creating a spherical shape, this ball of yarn. Really visualize this as being something that's comprised of one wrapping around of another, expanding the ball as the piece of yarn wraps around and around. And as it's expanding, it's also concealing the pieces from before. It's concealing the very beginning piece, right at the center. When we see this ball of yarn, we are aware of the last number of wraps, but unaware of what's underneath. We see the outside impressions and can have ideas of how it was wrapped inside. And now imagine that this ball of yarn is you. And take a moment and just to allow the mind to play a bit. What color is it? How big of a ball of yarn is it? What is the fiber made of? How tightly or loosely is it wrapped? You have complete power over these details right now, so go ahead and just imagine. Imagine now that each wrapping of yarn tells a part of your story. now, make an exact copy of this ball of yarn and place it on a separate field in the mind. With our computer technology, you can think of it like you would on your computer, copy-paste. The original ball of yarn will remain safe. It's saved on a hard drive for reference, but you're working right now just with the copy. So focus on this copy and ground yourself as the witness. This is the you who is able to observe your own self, this ball of yarn, your own actions, and be able to have compassion. To look at this journey as though it was someone else's. And no matter what happens, know that your original version is unharmed. Begin to slowly unravel one strand of yarn, and then another, revealing the layer underneath the surface layer. These layers are filled with the spectrum of your emotions and experience. Continue one strand, another strand. They contain all the dynamic and complex human experience you've come to know. And as you unravel, just notice the parts of the story and yet avoid being pulled into the story, going back through the years, back through experience. Notice the parts and move on to the next. There may be memories of people, of things intertwined in some areas. There may be knots or areas that have thinned. Again, just notice. Allow this ball of yarn to unravel and reveal as much as you can be able to have revealed for now. Go back into this sort of review of yourself with more of this witnessing self of this visual ball of yarn and less of this feeling getting lost in your story. Once a ball of yarn has been unraveled to this far that you've reached, breathe in to allow this much releasing of this puzzle as you can, and honor any places in you that feel space opening. Honor any spaces that might be constricting. And we're going to touch on 3 places. The first one, acknowledging the harm that you have caused others. Within this unraveling of this ball of yarn, in there, consciously or unconsciously, there was some harm that was caused to others, where we have acted less kind in some areas. The second place to acknowledge is to recognize we have caused harm to ourselves. Where in our story, in this unraveling of this, may there have been places where there is that harm that we caused to ourselves. And then the third place to have awareness is the places where we feel that others have harmed us. Again, doing your best to observe and acknowledge that there were places, and if it's exact things aren't coming up, just let it be abstract. There's a sensation in the body that may have knowingness. Feel what feels ready to forgive, or if you're not quite ready to forgive in some areas. Just note that and acknowledge there could be work ahead when the time is right. Take a deep inhale through the nose, be here in this present moment. And a deep exhale through the nose, feeling grounded in this body, in this present moment. And now bring your awareness back to this yarn that has been unraveled, and now begin to rewrap the yarn. One piece going around and around and around. Just seeing this ball of yarn expanding as each layer wraps around, moving in a pattern, always creating this perfect sphere. Keep moving until you feel yourself come all the way back into the present moment. The final strand of the yarn finishing. And just notice if you feel any of the things from the unwrapping were able to be released, or if some things needed to stay wrapped in with the yarn. And just observe this ball of yarn, complete, full. And you choose right now if you want to save that as the original, move that into the hard drive and delete the first one, or if you want to delete this version and you feel more comfortable sticking with what was already being saved. Again, the power of modern technology. We can do this with our mind. And now come back to the breath. Just feel yourself able to let go of that ball of yarn. It's saved, either the original or this new one, saved to the hard drive. The other one, you can do with it as you wish. And then just be with this last few moments, focusing on the breath and on these last words. There is in us an undying capacity to have love and freedom that is untouched by what happens to each of us. And to come back to this, to know this true nature, original mind, Buddha nature. The shift of identity of being nobly born is the invitation of the work of forgiveness. That's from Jack Cornfield. When we begin to feel each other's pain, we feel connected, less isolated within our own story. This begins the path towards liberation and a perspective of our vast relationship to this life. It's not just your hurt, it's the hurt of humanity. Jack Cornfield. Everyone feels betrayed in some form or another. It's not just your pain, it's the pain of being alive. When we can attune to this, we can feel more connected to this vastness of human experience. Take a deep inhale through the nose. A deep exhale. Feel yourself coming back into full awareness of this body, of awareness of the feet, the legs, the arms, the torso, the head. Just have gratitude for this body. Gratitude